important. They want to keep our children in a box. They want to keep our children contained. Literally, they want to keep us contained. But if we teach our children how to survive beyond whatever container they create, unstoppable. It's nothing you can do. And African American children have so many skills that are not honored in the classroom. My name is Hanifa Mahasin Shiwe Peters. I am from the Bay Area, born and raised in Oakland, California. I attended Claire Muhammad School through my middle age years and went to a public high school. Continued on this journey of education and been there ever since. So I have a bachelor's in economics, a master's in education with emphasis in early childhood, and I'm currently a doctorate student pursuing a doctorate in educational leadership here in the Bay Area. So education is a part of who I am. It's all I know. It's my love. It's my heart. And I've worked in many different realms of education. I've served as a preschool teacher for many years. My passion is in adult education, so I work as a professor for various colleges in the Bay Area. And I serve young children and their families as the executive director over a large child care or child education center in the Bay Area. When I was young, I've always loved children. I was the babysitter. I was the one who always wanted to help out people in my community with their children. When I went off to college, I thought that business was the way to go. Obviously, because the business is always the thing that's like, oh, that's where you're going to make money if you're running a business. So I went in to get my bachelor's degree thinking that business was what I was going to do. But when I got to the end, I realized that I didn't want to do that, and it required me to take a step back. So I started taking additional classes on top of my regular course load that pushed me in the direction of early childhood. I don't know why I chose early childhood initially. I think it was just, I liked babies. I think that was the main reason, was like, I really like young children. So when I initially pursued my master's degree, I knew I wanted to look at African American males. I think that's always been a hot topic, and I actually was pregnant towards the end of my master's program, and I didn't know what I was having at the time. So in my final year, I had a son, and so it was time for me to write my thesis. And as a parent, I was a parent. I was a new parent. I was trying to figure out all these different things, like, how am I going to do this? So my thesis topic very specifically was, how does racism affect my parenting practices with an African American male? That was my thesis question. So that's what I looked at in my thesis. I looked at, what is it that you do? Why do you do it? What do you think that's important for your son in particular? And how does this affect other African Americans? How do they make the same decisions? Do they make the same decisions? Should they make the same decisions? And it was a very interesting project, and it actually had poetry. It had poetry about love, poetry about pain, poetry about being afraid of my son's future, and the role that I played in that as a mother, especially in the first 5 years of his life. What role do you play in preparing him for being an adult male in America? Then my husband and I came to a point where we were like, okay, we're ready to do this again. And so I wanted, we were laying on the table when they tell you what you're having, right? You're trying to see, I wanted a girl so bad. I was like, oh, this would be great. I'd have my pair. And the woman says, oh, it's a boy. I just remember being like, why? Why is it another boy, right? So, I mean, you get over it, because in the end, all you want is healthy. Like, that's all you want. You really genuinely only want healthy. The day before he was born, it was rough because I was so irritated. He was already late. I've already done this before. I already had one kid. So I was like, I know what's going to happen. Let's get to the table. Let's get it over with. Not to mention the fact that my first son's labor was very hard. So we finally get in there. We're finally to the point where we're ready to push. We're finally getting this baby out, right? And things were happening. Things were happening in the room that just felt like, this is not right. Like, this is not okay. Something's wrong. And we knew something was wrong. And finally, we got our son into this world, and he was blue. He was as blue as the sky. It was a very scary moment. It was it was an unbelievable moment. And everyone is just moving around me. It just felt like a whirlwind of just bodies just moving around. I had no idea what was going on, and told me that he had what's called a hypoxic brain injury. And what that is, the summary of it is that he was not receiving oxygen while we were in the labor process. And that had effects that in that moment, the doctors were telling us, it could be this, it could be that, it could be cerebral palsy, it could be that he has developmental delays, it could be this. And the whole time I was there, I said, not my child. It's not going to happen to me. And because I knew I had faith in Allah, I had a huge family support, and I had the education. This is what I do. I do babies, right? It was my job for years. But I decided to take it to another level. I decided to learn about the infant brain on another level, how it develops, how it forms. I had, of course, some base knowledge, but I did research on what are the types of things that you need to do with a child to support high level of brain development, high level of motor skill development. We had to go through developmental testing, and my son aced every single one of them. He has had no challenges, but if you would have let the doctors paint the picture of who my son was going to be, he would not be who he is today. And I attribute that, of course, to God first. And then I attribute it to my husband and my focus. And then as a mother he's my son. You're not going to define my son for me. I'm going to take what God told me is going to happen, and then I'm going to take what the skills that I have worked on for years to that point. I had already had a master's in early education. So though I didn't necessarily have all of the information about his particular situation, I knew where to go. I love my children, both of them. You can't, each child brings a different thing to your life. My oldest son was like my career baby. Like, he was the one who I did things for him based on what I understood, based on where I was in my career. But Jacob was my passion baby. He was the baby that said, we need to do this on a different level. We need to do this from heart, from soul, from fight. It was just different. And to this day, his personality says all of those things: heart, soul, and fight. Wow. But the blessing was I was an early childhood educator. I am an early childhood educator. And when he was born to a mother who had specialty in early childhood education. It also was the thing that made me realize, oh, this is why you're here. This is what you're supposed to do. And ever since then, it was no turning back. It's no turning. Like, you have so many opportunities to teach your children about how to thrive in harsh environments. And that skill in and of itself is important, right? Because if I understand how to thrive in harsh environments, then you can put me in any environment and I will be successful. Creativity is a survival skill, right? It's not about, oh, let me know how to do their work well. No, you need to know how to do their work well and how to take it to another level, or how to see beyond what's in front of you. I think that that's probably one of the biggest skills that a parent needs to recognize. Like, how do you teach your child to see beyond what's in front of them? The public school classroom honors certain skills that our children can do well, but they don't honor the skills that our children excel in. And we have to create opportunities for our children to excel in the skills that naturally come to us because of our cultural background. And parents have to be willing to be okay when their children challenge the norm. And they also have to create opportunities for them to express their cultural skills, their identity, let them feel good about who they are, where they come from, what their historical background is, because those are the things that matter when you become an adult. Those are the things that make you successful. Those are the things that bring you wealth. And I'm not just speaking financial wealth. I'm talking about life wealth, like success, family, just living your best life, as we would say. And having that strong sense of identity, having that strong sense of confidence that you have a support system, that the world values who you are, that's what's going to make African American children more successful. Having a space that supports that for them.